Happy Saturday. Welcome in, everybody. It is indeed the Jake Asman Show right here on 880 ESPN New York and the ESPN New York app. Saturday, August 15th, and the first preseason game in New York football is officially in the books. Was in the building last night at MetLife Stadium watching Cade Klubnik, Mo Bamba, and the Jets take on Todd Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneer backups. They didn't start Baker Mayfield. They didn't start their backup quarterback. We had their third and fourth stringers playing against the Jets last night. And the Jets didn't start their starting quarterback. No Geno Smith. He was supposed to play. And I'm at a tailgate right before this game. And I think it was about an hour before kickoff. I checked my phone and saw Geno Smith out tonight, foot soreness. And I started telling people at the tailgate, hey, no Geno tonight. And everyone thought I was kidding. So that seemingly came out of nowhere. We will get into the Jets and the Bucs, some takeaways from the game last night. Giants in action today at 1 p.m. Bit of a mystery from John Harbaugh on just how many of the Giants starters are going to play, how long they'll play. I do expect us to see Jackson Dart and the starting offense for at least a drive or two. So the Giants are at MetLife today after the Jets hosted their opening game at MetLife last night. Preseason around the NFL continuing. And of course, I feel like we could do the exact same segment on the Yankees that we've been doing for months already. They went out there last night, wasted a really solid outing by Garrett Cole, and they lose because they can't score any runs. The Yankees scored one run last night. So they didn't lose any ground because the Rays actually lost a game for once. I didn't think that was possible. Orioles beat them 6-5. So the Tampa Bay winning streak of 9 games is over. But my God, man, just the Yankees just do not score. So we will certainly talk some baseball throughout our show. But we begin with the football, and I certainly want to hear from any of the Jet fans out there. 800-919 ESPN is the number. The biggest takeaway from last night is centered around Cade Klubnik, who got the opportunity to start because, Geno Smith dealing with some foot soreness, he wasn't able to go. Now, the Jets say the Geno injury is not serious. He's day-to-day. Glenn said afterwards is an ankle. We'll see. You don't like hearing about your quarterback dealing with any sort of injury because they need reps with Geno Smith as their starter. So now you wonder, what's Geno's status this week at practice? Is he going to be able to play next week against the Steelers? He's probably not going to play in the last preseason game because nobody does. So can he go out there and be healthy enough to get some reps with the starters this week? That will be a storyline for this week at training camp. But as far as the game last night goes, if you were hoping to see something from Cade Klubnik, you saw something. Unfortunately, and this is no fault of his own, you didn't get to see enough of Cade Klubnik, I felt. Only 2 series for Cade. He was 5 of 7 for 56 yards. The opening series should have ended with a touchdown if Breece Hall didn't lose his footing on a run. He tweeted afterwards, by the way, can we get grass fields at MetLife because the MetLife turf tripped him up. He's right about that. But I think it was a promising start from Cade Klubnik. He showed poise. He looked comfortable operating the offense. He didn't force anything. Sometimes young quarterbacks, they don't know how to throw it away. Or even subtle things, right? Where he's running along the sideline, he doesn't run out of bounds, he throws it away. Saves 2 yards. Like, how many times do you see a quarterback just run out of bounds, they lose yardage? He looked like a guy that started over 40-plus games in college. Now, I'm not here to tell you Cade Klubnik's going to the Hall of Fame. I'm not here to do the disingenuous, is there a quarterback controversy now for the Jets? Because there's obviously not. It's going to be Geno Smith starting. But I think what's clear is Cade Klubnik's going to be this team's backup quarterback. Now, we still could argue whether or not they should add another veteran because, again, going into the year with just Geno Smith and then a 4th-round day 3 rookie as your backup is definitely risky for the Jets, especially for the head coach who's going to need to win games to save his job. But last night, I think we saw some competency from Klubnik that makes you go, okay, you can kind of see why the Jets seem to like him so much. Combine that with how awful Bailey Zappi is. And I was surprised because Zappi, he was 4-5 in his NFL career. He started 9 games in the league. Comes in, immediately throws the pick 6. The second interception wasn't really on Zappi. Arian Smith He's a wide receiver, but he doesn't really do this whole thing called receive. So he's not an NFL receiver. The Jets completely burnt a fourth round pick on him. That's a conversation for another time. Klubnik, I thought, looked pretty good. And that's the takeaway. The other takeaway from the game is he should have played the entire first half. Once it was determined that Geno Smith was out for the game, why wasn't Cade Klubnik out there for the entire first half? Nobody needs to see Bailey Zappi. I'm sorry. No Jet fan is like, you know what we need? More Zappi. Enough. We don't need to see Brady Cook either. We got enough Brady Cook to last a lifetime, the last 5 games of the Jet season last year. Nobody needs to see Brady Cook play quarterback. We're good. We wanted to watch Cade Klubnik go out there and operate the offense and get reps. He had 7 pass attempts last night. That's not nearly enough when you need this guy to get all the experience imaginable if you're going to go into the year with him as your number 2. So I thought Aaron Glenn completely dropped the ball, not giving his backup quarterback, who became the starting quarterback, an opportunity to go out there and play football. But he didn't look overwhelmed. He looked comfortable, and that's all a positive. Some other things that obviously you were watching if you were a Jet fan. How would David Bailey play, right? Number 2 pick. We heard all the reports about how good he's looked in training camp, dominated the Bucs in the joint practice. I'll tell you what, the stats I don't think paint the picture for what we saw from David Bailey. David Bailey only took 8 snaps. He did have a quarterback pressure. He did have half a tackle. If you watch, and I went back and watched 8 of his plays this morning, David Bailey was basically chipped or doubled on all but 2 of those 8 reps that he took. And again, it's preseason. Teams aren't game planning for specific players, but clearly in the Bucs protection plan against the Bucs backups, and it's important to note, Tampa did not play any of their starters on offense or defense, so the Jets faced backups. I think what you saw was David Bailey's first step is legit. Will McDonald getting that sack after the Jets' first drive, I think, was a sign of the fact that all the attention was on Bailey, and Will McDonald made a nice play. So he looked the part of a number 2 pick, even if the stats don't just pop off on you. I'm excited to watch more from him. But the Jet defense as a whole, they didn't come up with any takeaways. What else is new? They got off the field twice when their starters were out there. But again, they're facing a third-string quarterback, so there's not really any major takeaways from watching the Jet defense. A.Z. Thomas was tested right away. He's going to get a chance to start opposite Brandon Stevens at corner. He was ready with the pass deflection on the opening play, so that was encouraging to see. The Jets are going to need to figure out safety. They got Minkah Fitzpatrick, and if you noticed, the only starter who stayed out there with the backup defensive players was Andre Sisco, who was brought back on a deal that's basically for the minimum. So who's going to be the next safety opposite Minkah Fitzpatrick? It feels like it's going to be either Sisco or Dane Belton. Malachi Moore, he was out there in the second half of this game, which tells you all you need to know about his standing on the depth chart. So while the Jet defense should be improved, a major weakness, I believe, is safety until proven otherwise. And we'll see how corner looks once they get, hopefully, D'Angelo Pons back practicing this week, a guy they used the top 50 pick on. He hasn't practiced yet. So you saw last night, Klubnik showed legitimate promise. You saw Garrett Wilson look like Garrett Wilson, which might not mean much to most because we know how good he is, but he's healthy, right? He ended the year on IR. Braylon Allen, he looked completely healthy. He looked big, and he looked really explosive on that touchdown run on the second drive that Klubnik was out there with the backups. Thought he looked good. One thing to note as well, Isaiah Williams has clearly leapfrogged Omar Cooper Jr. on the depth chart. That doesn't mean that Omar Cooper Jr. is not any good or he's a bust. But clearly the Jets like Isaiah Williams, because if you look at the Jets starting receivers last night, it was Garrett Wilson, A.D. Mitchell, and Isaiah Williams. You did see Cooper flash some of that yak ability when he got a chance to play, but he was playing pretty late into this game last night. I saw a stat that Omar Cooper Jr. was out there on the Jets' 6th drive of the game last night, which is the latest a first-round wide receiver has played in a preseason game since 2022, when Treylon Burks, who of course has not been a good player in this league, was out there playing for the Titans. So not the best stat there for Omar Cooper Jr., but again, I think Jet fans, we're just not used to actually having depth at wide receiver. Because Isaiah Williams looked the part of a guy who could definitely contribute last year. We know how good he is on special teams. He was voted Jet Team MVP for crying out loud. But it was notable that, hey, you drafted a guy in the first round. You traded up for a guy at wide receiver and Omar Cooper Jr., and here's Omar Cooper Jr. essentially being, a backup player for you. But we saw Omar Cooper Jr. flash some ability last night, so I think that was certainly encouraging. But again, you look at the Jets overall, and what do you want to see? You want to see the young players get better. You want to see them not look overwhelmed, look the part. And I think that's what you got last night. And I can't believe I've gone 10 minutes into the show here at ESPN New York and not mention Maury Bamba. I mean, Bamba was one of the surprises of the game last night, and not the biggest surprise. Bamba Island, Aaron Glenn said afterwards. I mean, he was good. And look, we talked about the Jets corner room not being great, their secondary in general. I want to see more from Maury Bamba. He's an undrafted free agent from BYU, 25 years old. Interesting backstory. Give Bamba more of an opportunity going forward. I mean, he made plays. That's what you want, someone to make plays. He had 4 pass deflections in the first half alone. He was burned a couple times as well if you go back and watch, but it was encouraging to see. So, again, Jet starters are facing the Tampa Bay backups, so that context is important. You're looking for signs. You're looking for some things you could point to. I think it's encouraging how Klubnik looked. It's encouraging that you saw Will McDonald get a sack. David Bailey looked the part. Garrett Wilson looked healthy. Braylon Allen looked healthy. But again, if you're going to criticize Aaron Glenn for anything, I think not playing Cade Klubnik more than just 2 series made no sense once Geno Smith went down. Once you ruled out Geno, gave Klubnik the entire first half, the 2-minute drive at the end of the first half, at the end of the second quarter. That was a great opportunity for Cade Klubnik. Nobody needs to see Bailey Zappi. And certainly we have all, if you hear the sound of my voice this morning, we have all seen enough of Brady Cook to last a lifetime. My God. 800-919-3776 is the number to call to be part of our show this morning. Jake Asman with you till noon. We're going to talk a lot of football. Jets opening preseason game in the books. Giants today coming up at 1 at MetLife Stadium. We'll get back to the local baseball. Mets win last night. Yankees don't hit and lose. A lot to talk about. We started off with some of your Jet calls on the other side. The Jake Asman Show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks right now. If you're a sports fan, they have something for everyone, especially if you're one of my listeners and you're gearing up for the upcoming Jets season. For player picks on PrizePicks, you just pick a player you like and you go more or less on a few of their stats. Check out some of the numbers they have for some of your favorite Jet players. Geno Smith, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., Kenyon Sadiq, and many more. PrizePicks should be your go-to. And check out their new offer right now. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you need to do is sign up and use that code HMA. That's PrizePicks code HMA. Download the app now or click the link in the description to download the PrizePicks app today.
The biggest contest we've ever seen.
Seriously, what's the guarantee?
They're still talking about it.
I think it's time to put the rumors to rest.
Showtime!
$30 million.
$30 million?
$30 million? $30 million?
That's $30 million guaranteed. 3 contests, multiple ways to win, no rate. Entry starting at $1,000. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere.
At 800-919-3776, the number to be part of the show on X at Jake Asman, ASMAN. So follow along there. Lot to do as we take you till noon right here on 880 ESPN New York and the ESPN New York app.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.